The Secret Life of America's Most Wanted. A tale of fortune, faith, and the unsinkable city. The year is 1910. The air in Chicago is thick with the promise of the 20th century. The rumble of elevated trains, the clang of streetcars, and the intoxicating scent of ambition. But hidden beneath the veneer of progress, a profound and terrifying secret is about to explode. One that connects the glittering banking houses of Wall Street, the shadowed back rooms of organized labor, and the devout, insular communities of the American Midwest. Our story begins not in the stately mansions of the Gold Coast, but in a modest, bustling office near the Loop. Here sits William J. Burns, a man whose face, with its steely gaze and meticulous mustache, is known nationally. He is America's foremost private investigator, a former chief of the U.S. Secret Service, and the founder of the legendary Burns Detective Agency. He's often called the American Sherlock Holmes. And on this particular Tuesday, he's studying a file that makes even his hardened eyes widen. The file concerns a crime so audacious, so profoundly unsettling that the President of the United States, William Howard Taft, has personally called for its resolution. The crime is not a murder or a bank robbery in the traditional sense, but an act of industrial sabotage and terrorism aimed squarely at the heart of the American labor movement. Burns is not looking for a single criminal. He's looking for the leader of a conspiracy, a man who has operated in plain sight for years, an astonishing chameleon of American society. His name is officially James B. McNamara, but the real mastermind, the one Burns calls the Phantom, is a figure only known by his code name, the Secretary. This Phantom, the Secretary, had directed the dynamiting of over 100 structures across the United States between 1906 and 1910. He targeted non-union construction sites, the printing presses of anti-union newspapers, and the corporate offices of the largest open-shop employers in the nation. The goal? To terrorize industrialists into recognizing union labor. The damage was catastrophic, both in property and life. The trail of destruction culminated on October 1, 1910, in Los Angeles, with the bombing of the Los Angeles Times building. The explosion was immense. A massive charge of dynamite smuggled in beneath the city's indifferent eyes tore through the structure. 21 employees, printers, typesetters, reporters, and clerks were killed. Many were burned alive as the fire swept through the wreckage. It was, for its time, the deadliest terrorist attack on U.S. soil since the Civil War. The entire nation was riveted. Industrialists shrieked for vengeance. Labor leaders across the country, while often privately sympathetic to the goals, publicly condemned the violence and swore it was a frame-up by their enemies. The stakes were nothing less than the future of organized labor in America and the fundamental right to an open-shop business. Burns's task was impossible. The perpetrators, part of an underground network of union men who called themselves the Iron Workers Union Bridge and Structural, were disciplined and fanatically loyal. They communicated through coded telegrams, buried cash in railway depots, and used a system of runners who never knew the full scope of the operation. The key to unraveling this web of violence, Burns realized, lay in the astonishing identity of the Secretary. Burns' agents, risking their lives in the grimy, smoke-filled cities of the Midwest, discovered that the Secretary was not a thug or a radical immigrant. He was a man of extraordinary education, impeccable manners, and a deeply held, almost puritanical faith. He was a pillar of his local community, a respected family man, and, most astonishingly, an elected official in his own state. The search for the secretary would lead Burns and his men on a dizzying chase that spanned a continent and unveiled a breathtaking hypocrisy at the highest levels of the American dream. It would involve a desperate, high-speed train pursuit across the Nebraska plains, a tense cloak and dagger operation in a remote Indiana railway station, and a final, shocking revelation in an unassuming Indianapolis office that would momentarily halt the national dialogue on labor rights. This is the true story of Ordie McManigal and James B. McNamara, but most importantly, it is the story of their enigmatic leader, a man who built a national, deadly terrorist network from the funds of one of the largest and most powerful labor organizations in the United States, all while maintaining a flawless public persona of devout civic duty. His downfall, orchestrated by the cunning of Burns, would involve betrayal, a massive secret cash fund in a safe deposit box known only as the Defense Fund, and a final electrifying courtroom confession that shocked the world and forever changed the relationship between American capital and labor.